Get a quorum, Supervisor Simpson, before you keep giving me that look.
Good morning.
So we'd like to call to order the personnel meeting, please. Chairman Conover is sitting in so that we have a quorum, so we can open up our meeting. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of our prior meeting made by Supervisor Frazier, seconded by Supervisor Simpson? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Minutes are passed. At this point, what we'd like to do is invite Matt Schuett to talk to us a little bit about the Medicare Advantage plan renewal. It's my understanding, good morning, Claudia, that we need a resolution for this to move forward as well.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Real quick, before we get there, I'm happy to report that we, as you may remember, we put on the screen, and this is the first year we're going to an electronic platform, electronic enrollment. We are really, to the credit of HR and Jackie and her department, we're at 40% completion already. Done.
Great.
So people have gone in, made their elections or their declines, decided if they want the vision or not. They've moved through, so very happy to report that, and that's well ahead of schedule compared to previous years. So that's fantastic news, and again, credit to Jackie and her department. The piece of paper that you have in front of you is a comparison, a side-by-side of the Medicare Advantage renewals. This is again, another happy to report good news on this. We'll start with one that we don't have to take a lot of action or any much discussion on, is the one on the right. CDPHP, we have the, on the bottom you can see where the rate and the impact. You have 172 of your retirees. These are your Medicare Advantage. I'm sorry, your Medicare eligible retirees. 172 of them are on this plan. We've negotiated that down to, there's no change to that plan, no change to the rates. There's only an improvement. That item in red that you see has, the hearing aid allowance has increased from $200 to $600. So that's an improvement, no change to the rates. We're recommending that one as obviously renewing as is. We have to have a little bit of a discussion on the Empire plan on the left-hand side, and I brought, this is, by the way, I should have introduced Dave Shantz sitting down. He's our in-house Medicare and retiree coordinator and expert. If I hit any, any questions that you have to dig in a little bit deeper on this, I'll ask Dave to jump up. But we'll go through. We have two options. The frontline renewal, as low as we could get Empire to, same plan, and this is where the bulk of your retirees are, 256, was at 8.67%, no changes, no tweaking, no anything to it. Now, we are recommending if you drop down a box, you're going to see in option 1, we can get it to 3.79% with minimal change. So what this is, you're going to see a standard pharmacy and then preferred pharmacy. So what this is simply is it starts to tier your prescription network a little bit. Okay? Preferred pharmacy, we're going to be able to keep the copays identical to what they are today if you're going to certain pharmacies. Those certain pharmacies, as a sample, would be Walmart, Hannaford, CVS, Target. If you go to, if the retirees go to the standard pharmacy, it bumps up by $5 in each category. So that's going to be the Walmart, Rite Aid, Price Chopper. Any more, Dave, that you can think of off the top of your head? I think those are the big ones.
Yeah, those are the big ones here.
Yeah. So.
And both.
Sorry. Walgreens. Yeah. I've got to learn to start classes, unfortunately, at these. So it's, in talking through it and looking at it, this is our understanding and working through it a little bit, that this is having these tiers and having one tier being exactly the same is fits within your contract, and to have members, if they choose to go to the non-preferred tier, which we would certainly communicate to them, it's plus $5 in the category of prescription. So that, beyond that, the changes to the plan, there are no changes to the plan, so you're certainly within your contract on every other part of the medical side of it. So that's very high level. I want to, see, obviously, see if there's any questions at this point.
Chairman Conover?
Thank you.
how can we get the 256 to migrate over? I mean, if I'm reading this correctly, if I'm looking at your estimated annual premium on the renewal on the Blue Cross, and then I look over at CDPHP, that's quite a difference.
Yes.
And so, is that because a number of those retirees are retired at a different percentage?
Yes.
So they're not experiencing the full 25 or 20% that the more current employees pay.
Yeah, correct.
Is that my expressing it?
A great majority of their retirees on either of these plans are at 100% reimbursement still.
So then I guess my question is, if the plans are comparable, and it appears as if within reason that they are, might be to our advantage to want to in somehow create an encouragement to migrate over in some fashion. You're talking a lot of money here. I mean, we're looking at, say, rounded $600 to $700 times 256 people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Got a calculator?
Becky?
Do you want to speak about
Sorry.
the network differences between the two? I think that's part of the reason why a lot of people choose the Empire.
It is part of it, and then Dave, would you, as far as snowbirds and people that travel?
Right. Well, both of these plans will cover emergencies, urgent care, and ambulances worldwide as though you're in network. But and so they are good all across the nation. Part of your enrollment into the Empire Blue Cross are retirees who don't live in the immediate capital region. CDPHP's service area, you have to live in the service area of the carrier in which you're enrolled, is limited to 28 counties around Albany, basically. So if you live outside of that, your only choice is the Empire Blue Cross. But you bring up a great point to try to, in some way, incentivize retirees who do live around here, because locally the two networks are virtually identical locally. Virtually every healthcare provider in our area is in network for CDPHP and Empire Blue Cross. But if there's a way to incentivize your retirees to move over to CDPHP, that would be a terrific move, I think, for the county.
Chairman Conover?
Yeah. I've seen where municipalities have agreed to pay up to what it would have cost had they stayed within the service area, should they need to acquire a plan outside the service area, like, for example, Florida. In fact, you might be able to, a retiree might actually be able to secure a plan down there because of the so many retirees. Maybe there's a way of having the transferability of the dollars, so that should you move out of the service area, we will reimburse you up to what we would have paid if you stayed within the service area. That might make the plan a little more attractive to people, because now they know that they can carry the dollars to another location, and maybe even some type of monetary incentive might be something to consider as well. There's a lot of dollars there.
Yep. So a few things on that is contract-wise, that would obviously be a change. You know, changing from you're going to a flat dollar, some form of a defined contribution where you have a flat dollar amount that goes wherever they go, really, and then they get to decide how to do that. That would require, because there are individual plans. There are some retirees that, let's face it, don't have big prescription needs, and they could do with a plan that is less. These are very, very comprehensive plans, particularly on the prescription side. No donut hole. You know that phrase you may be familiar with. You know, there's no donut holes on these on the prescription end. Individual plans for one person outside of a group, some of them are a lot less. So, you know, potentially over time, yes, absolutely, that's number one. Number two, you could attach a HRA, some form of a reimbursement to the CDPHP plan. We have to word it correctly because obviously over time these price differences and ratios may not stay the same. But, you know, certainly the difference between them is $137 a month. If you split that, cut that up to some degree and have half of that or a quarter of it or whatever in an HRA available to then, you know, their $10 copay for providers to get reimbursed that $10, that's in the best interest of everybody. We could do that at any point. So it won't grab the people out of area necessarily, but it will grab our in-area crossover. Those with the network works on for both.
I would appreciate some thought, if you guys could give some thought to, even if it didn't work, at least we took a stab at it, what we might be able to think about advancing that might encourage people to migrate over to the CDPHP from the Blue Cross. That's a big
Give them a
number.
signing bonus, Ron.
Well,
Really, a signing bonus
I-
to switch.
It would seem to me that, and that's been done before, as you know,
Yeah.
on retirement programs.
Seriously.
To get certain tier people to retire and to move people along. So, I mean, if we benefit greatly, maybe we have to share some of that benefit, right? Maybe we have to share some of it. That's not unlike the, what you see in a lot of the healthcare savings accounts, as you know, where they've taken the savings to go into, or part of the savings to come back into to help people lower the cost of their plan in retirement.
You did that with your active plan,
Right.
with your HRA.
Is there any further questions? Supervisor Sokol?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So on that note, though, is there a certain amount of people that we have to have in this plan to keep it? Can it be just one person on that plan? Or is that cost going to be reflected? Like right now, you've got a strong number here. So if we incentivize them to go to the CDPHP, if there's 20 people, is it
Underwriting notes aren't, do you recall the underwriting side of that?
Because when we got this, the groups were already large enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, Empire does have a maximum or minimum number of enrollees that they're going to need, and it's probably going to be somewhere, I think initiating, it's going to be somewhere around 200, but I think if it's an existing group, they would allow that, they'd still keep the plan in less than 200, but as you indicated, it might very well reflect in next year's.
Well, that's what
Yeah, that was
I'm
my-
getting at. If we're going to give money for a sign-up bonus, we're going to end up taking ourselves in.
We have some swings. We'll tighten up on what that swing is. It's not, you know, we can lose 10, 20 contracts, no issues there. Can we go down to one? No. But what that number is in the middle, we'll have to circle back.
Question? So I think today what they're looking for is a resolution. Correct, Jackie? They're looking for action and pass this on to the full board. That motion's made by Supervisor Simpson. A second. Supervisor Bramer to get on the floor. Do you have discussion?
Yeah, thanks. What exactly are we moving? I thought we had to make a choice between, on the Empire side, the regular renewal, no, we're not, or option one, no?
I think we're approving both.
Oh.
Well,
We have to keep on.
the recommendation was to remove the as is and then Empire with the option. Thing. But you-
The option is
the change
not in lieu of the regular renewal. We would do both?
We will do the CDPHP renew as is, and then of the two options under Empire, choose the bottom
The lower one, yeah. Okay. Is that what the motion
That was
is?
the understanding of the motion.
Okay.
Correct, Supervisor
Yes,
Simpson?
that was what I
Thank you.
had understood.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
And we'll look forward to a little bit more of an analysis down the road regarding that option, and,
Yes.
and we can put that back on the personnel agenda anytime you'd like.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At At this point, our next item on the agenda is the review of applications received for both the county administrator and county attorney positions.
I'd like to make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss the appointment of a particular person or individual.
Is there a second to that? That second is made by Supervisor Frazier.
Yes, sure.
At this point, I'll need a show of hands to move into executive session. So,
Is there any discussion on that, or
Yeah, I'd
oh,
like to.
I
I just wanted to-
apologize, of course.
do we want to state how many applications we have each, at least?
Approximately 20 for administration applications and 9 for the attorney, I think. That's the latest count we have.
Is that correct, Jackie?
21 for
Oh, 21, sorry. Oh, I just put mine
Be
in.
busy, be here for a while.
Don't send any lunch.
Is there other discussion? Supervisor Bramer?
Thanks. I'm opposed to going into executive session if we're simply reviewing the applications. I think that if we are, when we go to interview them, certainly we would go into executive session.
Do we all want this all on YouTube when we're kind of just want to discuss among ourselves? I wouldn't think we'd want all that.
No, and I don't think some people want their
They
applications
don't want-
discussed publicly right
Yeah,
now.
I mean, that makes
I'm not
sense.
talking about discussing the details. I mean, are we,
I don't think they want their names out, but you're entitled to your opinion.
anybody can foil this right now. There's
Supervisor
nothing-
Bramer, if it would please you, what I'd like to do is ask our county attorney, who is well-versed in whether or not this is an appropriate item for executive, along with any foilable issues, is our FOIL point of contact. Perhaps you could weigh in, Mary? Sure. Thank you.
I just want to self-disclose that I applied for the job so that nobody can say I'm doing this to serve my own interests. So it's out there.
Job of?
County attorney.
Thank you.
It is an appropriate, going into executive session would be appropriate. It is certainly up to the committee whether or not you want to do that. I would just like to remind the committee that New York is an at-will state, so if names get out and an employer finds out, it's certainly well within their rights to terminate an employee for any reason. So our office is of the opinion that this would be an invasion of personal privacy if their names were to get out. So we do think it's appropriate for executive session, but again, it's completely up to the committee.
Supervisor Simpson?
So are the applications foilable now, public?
Our office we would advise Jackie to withhold them based on an invasion of personal privacy, and also when they are foiled, we would redact a lot of the information like the residential address, the phone number, because that's never appropriate to give out to the public.
Thank you.
It's also my understanding that the purpose of going into this executive session is not just to review who has applied, but in particular, we put aside a significant amount of time to talk about how those individuals, whether they would be really good at a particular job, would they not be a good fit at that particular job, to really talk about performance history of those individuals and whether it's a good fit or not. So I don't think it's just a quick canvas of who's applied, and as you've heard Mary say, that information is foilable, and they would go through that process of determining what's released and what is not released. But I think for purposes of an executive session, talking more about where those individuals, in fact, how they would perform in those particular roles. And that's my understanding of why that executive session motion was made. But I'm open to any further discussion unless you're prepared to vote. Any discussion from the public? Other supervisors? If there's no other public other than Don? Hi, Don. Okay, so at this, I do need a show of hands. How many do we need to go into executive sessions? Quick.
I do have a point now.
Yes.
When Mrs. Bramer came in, or Ms. Bramer came in, it has to be, the forum is exclusive of Mr. Conover.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye, Ron.
I believe you're relieved of your duties then, Chairman Conover.
Everyone on your committee is in favor to go into executive session.
Okay, so we will need everyone in favor to go into executive session. Do you have a question?
No?
Oh, we're voting. Okay, so those in favor of executive session? Okay, everyone has voted in the affirmative, so we will go into executive session to discuss these resumes.
Do you want to do county administrator? I can't.
You're out of executive now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, a motion coming out of executive. Made by Supervisor Bramer, second by Supervisor Fraser. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Okay.
At this point, we're coming out of executive session with no action taken. As an update to this committee, moving forward, we will begin a pre-screening process with 5 applicants for the position of county attorney. And for the position of county administrator, we will continue to accept resumes or applications from potential candidates until November 10th. Is there any other business to come before the committee? No? Hearing none, can I have a motion to adjourn, please? Made by Supervisor Garrity, seconded by Supervisor Bramer. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. This meeting is closed. Have a nice day.
Is your